Larry Summers, the next big risk for emerging markets. Go. Loading. Is greater than view all results. 4. Enter multiple symbols separated by commas. London quotes now available. Go. Home edition. News US. Asia Europe economy earnings energy inside wealth politics technology blogs Liz Shaw special reports corrections. Markets pre-markets US. Europe Asia stocks commodities currencies bonds funds ETFs. Investing stock blog personal finance CNBC explains portfolio watchlist stock screener fund screener financial advisors. Small business franchising financing management video. Video latest video top video US. Video Europe video Asia video CEO interviews analyst interviews digital workshop full episodes. Shows watch lit CNBC US. CNBC Asia Pacific CNBC Europe CNBC World full episodes. Watch lit Pro. Register vertical bracket sign in. Member center sign out. X. Dow goes positive as Obama, Putin soften Syria comments. Federal Reserve. Larry Summers the next big risk for emerging markets. Text size published, Monday, the 2nd of September 2013 vertical bracket 10:58 p.m. at I. Garrett Ramsing vertical bracket senior writer. Getty Images. Lawrence Summers. Thought speculation about Federal Reserve tapering laws bad for emerging markets? Then just wait to see what happens if Larry Summers is appointed as the next U.S. central bank chief, analysts say. They argue that if Summers replaces Ben Bernanke, whose second term as Fed chairman expires in January, any scaling back in the central bank's asset purchase program would be ramped up by the hawkish Summers and deal a further blow to battered emerging markets. Read more. Obama source predicts Summers be named Fed chief soon. Paul Craig, founder of the consultancy View from the Peak, Macro Strategies, said that it isn't when the Fed starts to take back its massive monetary stimulus but who takes over as Fed chairman next year. That's important to markets right now. The US president is a pretty important job, but ask the Indians, the Indonesians, the Brazilians who's had more influence over their lives and the answer would be the Fed chief, he told CNBC. Larry Summers is not an advocate of left square bracket quantitative easing right square bracket and the reality is that all things being equal, he will unwind fast, Craig added. Emerging markets from Brazil to India and Turkey have been hit hard since May on talk of an unwinding of the U.S. monetary stimulus that has provided global markets with liquidity in the past few years. Is Lawrence Summers the next Fed chief? Paul Craig, founder of research consultancy firm View from the Peak, Macro Strategies explains why he thinks Lawrence Summers is poised to be Ben Bernanke's successor. Talk that Larry Summers, a former Treasury Secretary, is the choice candidate to become the next head of the Fed has gained ground in recent weeks. The other favored candidate is Janet Yellen, currently the Fed's vice chairman. Read more. Summers, as Fed chief is a black swan event. Break in continuity. Nizam Idris, head of strategy for fixed income and currencies at Macquarie Bank in Singapore, said markets would view Summers becoming Fed chief as a break in the continuity in policy making. Markets would prefer Janet Yellen to become the next Fed chief to continue the policies we are familiar with under Bernanke, Idris said. A Summers appointment would be taken as a policy break and so you need to price a risk premium into emerging markets as a result and emerging markets would weaken on talk of a Summers appointment, he said. Read more. Wall Street wants Yellen, not Summers, as next Fed chief. According to research from Bank of America Merrill Lynch, BofAML, what happens in the US has a disproportionate impact in Asian markets, with the transition in the Fed chairmanship one challenge for regional markets. In the months preceding, and immediately after a transition of the Fed chairmanship, interest rates almost always rise, BofAML said in a note published on Monday. This is important, because rising